let's also talk about immigration at this point, because immigration is a hot topic issue here in the United States, and recently people are discussing the immigration issue in Canada, and some say that's been hurting your popularity rating because of the influx of asylum seekers who have been draining the social security system. Do you feel that Canada, and are you still an open and welcoming society?
Actually, I'm sorry to correct you on this, but Canadians remain incredibly positive about immigration. We actually don't have a single elected anti-immigration politician anywhere in Canada, and that's because Canadians have understood that bringing in people from around the world to contribute, to work hard, to build a life for themselves, not only increases the wealth and richness of our country, but actually allows us to be better. When you bring together diverse perspectives, diverse voices, empower them to weigh in and to help shape your solutions, your communities, your country, your economy, you actually get a better type of solutions than when you're just putting all the same storied people together to solve a problem. So Canadians get that. The diversity is and must be a source of strength. And yes, it requires, certainly when people arrive, particularly when they're fleeing war zones or conflict, they need support on getting their lives back together, on schooling for their kids, on education, on a certain amount of social safety net supports like healthcare and things like that. But rapidly, those people who've been given an opportunity to raise their kids in a free and welcoming society and contribute to it do indeed do that and create. I mean, the story of not just Canada but of North America is one in which folks coming here from around the world working hard to build their own success has created two of the most successful countries in the world. And that's certainly something we're going to continue doing.
There have been protests and rallies taking place, especially in the province of Quebec, which has had to take in the majority of the influx of the asylum seekers. And even the opposition Conservatives have criticized the Liberal, your party, for driving the Canadian immigration system, what they call, into shambles.
Well, for 10 years, we had sort of I don't do politics overseas, so I'm going to be very careful in my words to not criticize too much the previous government. But let's say the previous government in Canada didn't invest as strongly or responsibly as they could have, should have, on immigration processing or even things like border security, which means that over the past 2.5 years, we've had to make significant investments and try and cut some of the delays and some of the challenges that have existed in our immigration system, and we're coming along a fair ways. One of the issues that you're talking about is the fact that there are a number of people crossing our borders in irregular fashions, actually between border points, and seeking asylum in Canada. Many people who actually hold active and valid U.S. visas. What we are doing is we are ensuring that every single one of those people is processed according to our laws, rules, and principles around immigration. And one of the things that's true for Canada and the United States and a lot of countries around the world who have signed UN accords on refugees is if someone comes to our country, is on our soil, and says, I'm claiming asylum because I'm a victim of conflict, of war, of terror, of persecution in my own country, and I seek asylum in your country, it is a requirement of Canadian law that we process that asylum claim, that we examine whether or not they are indeed refugees fleeing conflicts that have put their lives and beings in peril. That means we are going through an immigration process with them that gives them a chance to demonstrate that they are actually refugees fleeing violence. If they are simply economic refugees looking to create a better future for themselves than whereas in their home country, We have a separate immigration system that they can and must apply to from outside the country, and we will therefore say, you're not an asylum seeker, you're not a refugee, and we send them back to their country of origin, or they have to leave Canada in any case. So we have a system that we are applying according to the rules. And yes, there is a large number of irregular arrivals who are crossing the border into Canada right now.
From the U.S.?
From the U.S.
Yep.
But we are processing them in a responsible, rigorous way that is reassuring to Canadians that, yes, our rules around immigration system apply. And one of the precious things about Canada is that Canadians are positively inclined towards immigration and refugees. And for me, protecting that and not letting it fall into the politics of fear or division or identity is really important. And one of the ways we do that is by demonstrating the robustness and the continued full application of all the rules we have around immigration, because that's reassuring to Canadians, it's reassuring to people coming that there is a rule of law here and we will apply it in responsible ways.
And just to connect that to the U.S. immigration debate, one Canadian official says, has compared Canada's position to the U.S. in terms of looking at visas and maybe getting help and preventing some of these asylum seekers from crossing the border illegally is similar to what the U.S. is asking Mexico and Mexican help.
You never answered the question, Trudeau.
I think a lot of different countries have questions and approaches on immigration that have commonalities, but everyone has different approaches as well. So we're going to focus on what works for Canada, and what works for us is quite frankly doing things like demonstrating that we value and welcome people who want to come and contribute. One of the things we did, as an example, at a time where the U.S. is tightening up controls around visas, is we created a global skills strategy that actually says if you're a company that wants to come and invest in Canada and start up a shop or an engineering facility or a research facility in Canada, and you want to bring some of your top people to help start up that facility, we can give you a work visa for those folks in less than 2 weeks. Because we know if you come and start up a business in Canada or a plant in Canada with your top people, you will hire lots of our great Canadian, STEM graduates, of some of our great Canadian workers who, ends up in a win-win for everyone. So that's something we're doing. And if you haven't heard about the global skill strategy, pass it along to your company because it's something that we're very excited about.
Well, U.S. President Trump